Hi everyone, welcome to the third episode of SQUARE1 presented to you by Pentad Academy. As you know, each and every person is unique. So comparing apples and oranges is kind of what our education system has been doing all this long. Pentad Academy is providing a different perspective into things. It is letting us know that there are different kind of intelligence, there are different kind of capabilities, there are different kind of possibilities, careers and whatnot available to each one of us today. So as a part of that, we went through two amazing podcasts in the past 2 weeks. And right now we are starting with the third. And you know what? We have a very interesting person with us as the guest today. We have Sampada Pillai. She is a full stack marketer with an experience of 13 years. So I welcome Sampada to the podcast.
Hi, Tuja. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing very,
Yeah.
doing great.
And today we also have a parent, Susan De Silva. So she is here to understand it in a different perspective, a perspective of a parent when their child wants to become a marketeer. So let's start with asking Sampada a few questions. Sampada, to begin with, are you from Bangalore itself? Your
No, I
native?
am from Mumbai actually. So I did my education in Bombay. I am a commerce graduate from the legendary Narsi Monji College of Commerce and Economics. And then I did my PGDM with North Point Center of Learning in Advertising and Marketing. And post that, I did my MBA in Marketing from Pondicherry University.
Then what brought you to Bangalore?
So I shifted here post my marriage.
Great, great. I would like to know. So, marketing is a huge word. It's a wonder to meet a person, uh, especially a woman who is thriving in this field. So, could you please help us with what marketing is about, the different kinds of marketing, and your personal journey through the career?
Marketing is huge, and initially when I started my marketing journey, right, marketing was very, very closely associated with sales, right? But when I moved to the journey, I realized it's much more. And even now, when I advancing through the career, there are much more dimensions that are opening up, right? I started my journey with ad agencies. I was an advertiser. I studied advertising, though my end goal in mind was to become always become a marketeer. So at that point of time, the straightforward road to go and become a marketeer was do an MBA in marketing and become a marketeer.
Hmm.
And I always thought that if I do an MBA and then I become a marketeer, I would lose the perspective of a customer, right? uh, which advertising actually captures very closely. When when you study advertising, you dive deeper into customer insights, because you need to talk the customer language. You need to understand what will make the customer react in what manner, right? The insights that you draw
Hmm.
in, which advertising does beautifully. So I chose a different path to marketing. I first went into advertising. I spent good 5 years in advertising, and I then came into marketing. Marketing slightly differs also in terms of, when I was in Mumbai, marketing was deeply about FMCG, right? Brands. We were
Hmm.
talking about, when I was working there in ad agency, we were doing more of a FMCG kind of marketing, supporting FMCG marketeers. It is completely different when I came to Bangalore. Bangalore being the IT hub, it's B2B, SaaS, technology marketing. So again, marketing has so many different dimensions, and we have only one small concept of marketing, especially when the kids, when they are learning, whether in school or colleges, when they are taught. There's a very one-dimensional perspective that has been taught about marketing, right? But I think
Hmm.
it's a universe. Even now when I am growing, now there is a product marketing that's come up, and there are multiple things that just keep coming up, right? You need to grow and evolve through it. So I think marketing is multidimensional, and and you need to go grow through it, right? Anybody who's even looking to pursue marketing as a career, I would like to say it's not just marketing. You need to see if you want to like the data bit of it, right? Then it's digital. Do you like a customer insight bit of it? Then it's more like an FMCG. If you like more from a product perspective, right? You're looking at an
Mhm.
app and you want to know how to market an app, then it's more like a product marketing. So there is much more to it, and people and students and kids who are want to deep dive into it, I think they should look deeper than what is just taught to them in their schools and colleges.
Wow. Sampada, I can actually see how your eyes light up when you speak about marketing. So I'm very curious to know what what was that point when you actually realized this is my career, this is what sparks the fire in me. I want to go reach somewhere in this career path.
So, NM is very legendarily known for churning out chartered accountants and CFAs and CAs. Okay, so when 80% of my classmates were, already knew they had to do, a CA or a CFA, I was really clueless at that point of time until second year of my college, right, where I had an advertising and marketing as a subject, and that's when I had an assignment on draw an advertisement, to convince so and so target audience and sell a pen to them. Okay, it was a very simple assignment, graded one. And when I started doing that assignment, it kind of like just opened up the creative gates. And I, instead of doing it once, I did multiple versions of it just to see what would be the best version of it. And that's the time I realized I really enjoy this, thinking about and I took that piece and I showed it to a couple of them. Okay, will this make you buy this pen, and will this make you buy this pen? So at a very primary level, I was doing market research and seeing if that ad is working out, ad testing at a very higher level, what it was called later. So that's when I understood, I really like this. And that was a subject I never bunked a class for. And that's the time it kind of ticked in. Okay, this is what I need to do when I grow up. Other bit of it is my dad used to work in Unilever, and every time he used to come back home and he used to narrate stories of brand launches and market researches. And that kind of got me into excited into this entire world of advertising and marketing.
Great to know. So, as a marketer, could you please help us with how a normal day at your work looks like?
Normally, I start my day with looking at my calendar, and there are four categories to it. First is the meeting bit of it, right? Where I do a catch up with the ad agencies, with the PR agencies, with the analyst relations. Uh, then the second bit of it is, a review, where need to give the approvals to the design team, to the content team, to the blog post that needs to be posted, or to the article that needs to be reviewed. The fourth bit of it is analyzing the data. How everything that we have put in effort in, how is that working? Whether it's your ads, your website that's been doing in, or the social media that's been happening in, right? Analyzing the entire data. And the fourth bit of it is the planning bit of it, wherein you need to do planning for an event that's coming up or planning for an annual budget. These are the four major categories into which I kind of divide my day.
That's a whole lot of things to think about. It is
A lot
the
of things.
peak
It's
of
an adventurous journey every day.
yeah, peak of multitasking. So, I was thinking, so if this is the case or a daily day of a marketer, uh, how is the educational background helping them? Like, what kind of skills they need to solidify and garner from the educational background? Or is it actually important to have a proper marketing educational background, or can you branch out from other educational backgrounds, or do you know such people?
Again, there are different bits to it, right? I had a lot of engineers in my team who were excellent content writers. I had engineers on my team who were designers. So it's more about, how the affinity towards writing or the affinity towards designing, do you have that creative ability to do that? Or do you have that ability to, express complex material into simplified words? You have an affinity to write stories, about simple things, right? It's more about that than the educational background. Educational background obviously helps. When you come from a certain educational background, you have more clarity on how the business works, because
Mm.
that's another bit of it that kind of doesn't get covered up when you come from a say a science stream, right? How business actually works, how it impacts, what is the cost, what are the margins, what's the profit, what's the budget, budgeting that you need to do, how much can you spend. So all these things, I think, they kind of add up when you come from a commerce background. But otherwise also, I have seen so many marketeers from different fields, just because they had a certain skill set, right? Being creative is a very strong skill set. Having empathy to understand the customer, because every day you kind of wear a different hat, right? One day you
Mm.
need to think, how a mother buys a baby food product, and the other day you have to think how a CTO buys a security product for his company, right? So you need to have an empathy to understand how their thought process works, what's important to them. Critical thinking, data analysis is another some skills that you require. Even if you don't go into digital marketing, right? Nowadays, data is inevitable, right? Especially with the onset of AI, right? Yeah, also, there is one more round like, oh, AI is going to cut all the jobs. But, there is one more thing when it comes to marketing and AI. I think AI just supports, enhance, and makes it much more better. So, I don't think AI is kind of getting into it, but learning AI, knowing AI, again, it's an added value skill set that will make you do your job better. All these skill sets are more important, I feel, than rather having a particular background.
A question, because you talk more about creativity and things like that. How does your work culture work? Like, because creativity is something which comes when you're in that space. You have to be in that mindset, and it has to flow, right? So how does your work life balance work, and how does your workspace work, allowing you to have that creativity for in your field?
Again, creativity is, it's not like, okay, 9 to 5 is my job and my creativity has to flow within 9 to 5. That never happens. In fact, it never comes at that point of time, right? As a marketer, for me, it's like ongoing thinking about a problem that I have to solve. It's ongoing. It just keeps happening in my mind. So my time doesn't get slotted into 9 to 5, right? And
Mm.
nowadays with work from home, it's like you get all the work at your home. So there is a very thinning line between work and home. Some days, there are days where you need to attend your daughter's PTM and you need to take a half day, you need to deprioritize work, right? There are days like that also. So I think it's more about prioritizing which is important at what point of time. And coming back to your question of how do you do the creative churning through it, right? It grows with experience. That's one thing, and it comes more from looking at smaller things in your surrounding also. So it's not like being in office makes you creative. It's like being outside, looking at smaller things, observing things outside of your work also helps you develop that creative intent, right? So just being in work will not allow you to get that creativity out. You will need to have different sets of passion, different
Mm.
sets of I love singing, I love dancing, so that helps me to get that creative bend of mind to the other things that I do, right? I love to cook different dishes. So I mean, there are different aspects of it through which your creativity flows in, and that adds up to your career path as well. But exclusivity, if you ask me, like 9 to 5, you need to make this extremely creative. It doesn't come out like that. You will need to give a certain type. You will, maybe when you're cooking food for your family, you suddenly realize, oh, this campaign, this idea is going to be wonderful for it, right? So that also happened, and it's happened multiple times. Whenever you're doing something else, you're like, oh, suddenly you're like, this is what is going to I'm going to do for this.
Yeah, so when it comes to when Sharanya was speaking about work-life balance, I am curious about how a woman, how it is different, how the field is different for a woman, and how performing the same is different for a man. and kind of the challenges that you have may have faced in your way all through this journey?
uh, though it's become better over the period of time, right from when I had started the journey to now, I see more and more women coming in into this field. And marketing has always been a very woman friendly career choice as such. It's not so it all depends on how you want to take it forward and how much you can take it. Marketing has been very very graceful, I should say that way, right? If you are, for example, if you want to do like a work life balance and you want to do, say, work from home kind of a thing, you take up digital
Mm.
marketing where you can do everything remotely, right? You really don't need to be the in the face, right? And you can still manage, you can still earn, and you can still do every bit of it, right? But for example, for me, I'm somebody whom I love to talk to people, I love to engage with them, I love to find insights. So I like doing events, I like doing PR, I like to learn about products. So I like being in the meetings. So I'm a kind of person when I want to be at that place and do stuff, so I take a lot of it on my plate. So it really depends how much you want to take on your plate and do and drive and go forward to, right? Some I mean, especially for women, I've seen a lot of women who are lovely content creators, right? But they don't want to come to office and work. They want to a balanced life. They want to look at their kids and still write, and they write beautifully. And they do it very well. They do it remotely. I myself have worked with a lot of consultants, right, who write lovely, and they also manage work at home, everything. So it really depends. Marketing is a very, I can say, fluid career where you can, pick and choose what you want to become according to your, bandwidth.
Mhm. Right. So that brings me to the to the most awaited question. We'd like to know if a child is looking forward to becoming a marketeer, what should be their salary expectations when they just start off 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line? How would it change and how would it grow?
Currently, the typically salaries are 5 to 6 lakhs per annum for a starter, and
Mhm.
they typically grow 10 to 20% every year, depending upon again what your role is. Digital marketing is a very a promising career wherein you have a fixed targets. It's as good as doing online sales. So you have targets. When you meet the targets, you get some additional perks attached to it. So there is a different growth path for each. Product marketing is another good growing career. So if you typically come from a, say, tech background and you have an affinity towards product and marketing both, that's another lucrative career that is growing very fast these days.
Mhm.
So depending upon again how much you're willing to take, how much you take upon yourself and how you perform, you grow very well in marketing.
I would like to know, we have Susan with us. If Susan has any questions from what Susan is mother to Sarah, she is very passionate about marketing. And I wonder if Susan has questions.
Hi, Pooja. Hi, Sampada.
Hi.
Thank you for giving me this
Hi.
opportunity to ask a question. So, Sampada, I just wanted to check with you. My daughter Sarah, who's also on the call, is very passionate about sales as a role.
Okay.
And I'm an entrepreneur, and she's been helping me sell things. And she feels that that's her calling. I know you're more from the marketing side, but would you be able to elaborate a little bit around the sales side as well?
Yes, so I have seen sales closely more from a tech perspective. So during my Red Hat days, I have seen a lot of women sales, really doing brilliantly well, especially when it comes to tech products and enterprise products. I think they do it pretty well, and there is a lot of travel. I'll be honest. There'll be a lot of traveling that you need to do because as you grow, you will need to give more time to it. and you should be having a supporting family to, I mean, take care and grow and everything, right? But I think it's a phenomenal career if you take tech as your industry. Then there is a lot of money as well in it. uh, it's good, and but it really helps if you have a tech background, because end of the day, if you are selling enterprise product, you will need to know in depth of how the technology works.
Yeah, I think that is her plan. She does plan to have a tech background and then look at sales as well as marketing as a career choice. But thank you. Yes, it helps to know that there are women in the field and that they are doing very well as well. But yeah, of course, I think starting salaries are smaller than for marketing role, but they do have commissions and so on, if I'm right.
They do have a lot of it actually, and good part of being in sales is the more effort you put in, the more you get out of it. So it's directly proportional to the kind of efforts you put in, because they have commissions for each sale that happen. And I think as you grow in sales, right, it becomes much more lucrative, and the salaries become actually larger than marketing at a later point.
Okay. So, Samprada, you also spoke about some of the competencies that were required for marketing, like creativeness and willing to look at things from different perspectives and so on. What would you say would be the ideal competencies for somebody looking at sales as a career?
One is networking. It is very critical, especially for kids of these age, because they are more online. I see I mean, less of them kind of mingle, talk. They are more online all the time. So I feel networking something that they have to keenly look into. Going, talking to people, convincing them, telling them stories is one more thing that you will need, because whatever you sell, from a shampoo to an enterprise, you need to tell them a story to convince them why this is the best thing that will happen to them, right? So storytelling is something that is a very critical thing. Networking is the second one. Third thing is being good with numbers. Again, a very great skill, a handy skill which will help them scale faster. And the last one would be doing a lot of research, whether it's a competition, or whether it's on your own product. I see a lot of juniors that join these ways, they are not very keen to put in that time and effort to do that research and figure out stuff, go in deep analysis of how things work, right? So I think these four skills are very critical. Doing a good networking, being good with data, being a good storyteller, and the fourth one being doing a in-depth research and analysis of things.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Really, you have put it, Sampada, very interesting it is. So we, yes, it is a very lucrative field. Everything is there, but do you think any like the negative aspect of it, like if somewhere you can stumble on your way? Do you have any such aspect? Have you found anything such thing in your path?
From the time I've started to now, marketing has evolved quite a bit, right?
Hmm.
And marketing is because from when I started my marketing career, digital was not a part of it, right? We
Mhm.
used to do outdoors, we used to do print ads, we used to do radio ads. Marketing was very physical as such. Now marketing is evolving at a very fast stage. So I think one challenge is to keep learning every
Hmm.
single day. There are so many tools in marketing. It's really overwhelming at some point of time, right? You need to know this tool, you need to know that tool, how to use this tool for that tool. So there are so many tools that you need to keep track of. There are so many new trends that come up, you need to keep track of. Digital is ever evolving. Google keeps on changing its rules every single day, and there are new rules that come up in email marketing. So as you grow up in the ladder, it becomes a little difficult to keep track of every single thing, because that when you grow up, you are not doing only email, or you're not doing only digital, you're not doing only product, right? You're not managing only the website, you're looking at the entire bit of it. So at that becomes a little overwhelming at some point of time,
Mhm.
because it's rapidly evolving as such, so I think
Very
that's one thing. Other bit of it is, when you manage events and you need to travel a lot, so that becomes challenging as a mother of two. That becomes challenging at a certain point of time.
Yes, so that's completely understandable. Yeah, and I know how the dynamics can be too much for a person to handle all at the same time. So, I think that's it from my end. It was a very, very interesting conversation. Um, I feel like if someone goes through this podcast, they will themselves feel interested in joining marketing and sales. I think it was a very exciting podcast to have, and a privilege to share this with you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully,
Thank
we'll
you.
meet in another podcast.
Absolutely, pleasure to be here. Initially, when Sharanya sent her first podcast to me, right, and she was asking, "Would you like to join?" And I went through that podcast, and I was like, I was really impressed with the kind of work you guys are doing, because it's very confusing for the kids these days to choose a career, right? There are so many options. There are so many options. A lot of them are not aware what options are available. Some of them who are aware of what options are available, they don't know how to go about it. So I think you guys are doing phenomenal work in terms of getting awareness to these kids. At least, they have some open path to think in terms of where they can go, and where they should see themselves, maybe 10 years, 20 years down the line. So phenomenal work on that. uh, all the best to you guys.
Thank you so much. All thanks to Sharanya, and it is my luck to join her as well in this journey. And thank you, Susan. Thank you, Sampada. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us in this podcast. We'll see you in the next. Bye.
Bye. Take care.